Hi, everybody. I just received the C4 Authentic Big Gold Belt, and I'm not even sure where to begin. I've had a lot of big gold belts in my life. The first one I ever had was the Figures Inc. WWE branded one, 2mm plates, fake leather. It was no good, honestly. Upgraded pretty quickly to the WCW Ultra Deluxe. Had real leather 4mm plates, but it was flat. And those Figures Inc. Big Golds, they didn't look like the Big Gold, honestly. I mean, they were just all gold. They weren't dual plated. They were just kind of modeled after the belt, you know. Then I had a Fandu. In a lot of ways, the Fandu was one of the biggest steps forward as far as looking like the big gold belt. But it had a lot of problems, size, and it wasn't, the detail wasn't there as far as replicating the original. Then I stumbled upon Classic Shields and their Ultimate Crumrine, and I drooled over that thing for a long time. At the time, it was far and away the nicest belt I've ever had. Then they improved their process, and I got their premium, and it's been my baby for years now. And then this one came along. Real silver, plated in gold. This thing is superlative. I don't even know how to describe it. The detail and just craftsmanship that has gone into this belt are like nothing I have ever encountered before. Look at the swirls. Look at the silver swirls. That real silver obviously helps these swirls pop like crazy. But it's also just how carefully crafted they are, just how perfect every little swirl is. The font, for lack of a better word, on the like the styling of the nameplate, they got it absolutely right. All the swirls, they nailed it. The little tiny lines between the slats on the globe, this is a detail that I had always noticed in the book. And to my knowledge, no other big gold has ever had that detail. But they got it. The spacing around the globe and the spacing around the crown, they nailed it. The tiny little details on the spade of the crown, the stone holders, the shadowy areas of the crown, like in here, they got it all right. The tiny little textures of the letters, they, to a T, they got it right. Even the little imperfections of the letters that let you know they were hand carved, even that is accurate to the original. If something looks too machine perfect, then it's never going to be able to replicate that handmade look of the original belt. One of the coolest things about this belt is they were able to get together with Conrad Thompson, and they spent some time with the original belt. They spent like 4 days with the belt, just going over it with a fine-tooth comb, taking all these measurements and everything. So that's how they were able to replicate all these tiny little details. And as I say, one of the coolest things about this belt is they also have a relationship with Crumrine themselves. And they made a deal with Crumrine, and they used the actual molds for the conchos and the grapplers that were used on the original belt. The hair the singlets, the hands, the boots, the laces. All these tiny little details on the grapplers are perfect because they are literally perfect. They were taken from the same molds as the original belt. I just think that is so cool. And same with the conchos. Every little detail about the conchos is by default perfect because they are Crumrine products, basically. And all of this is just the plates, not even to speak of the strap. And by the way, I got the original misspelled nameplate over here. I'm going to switch that out from time to time. But yeah, the strap. I've had a lot of nice straps on my belts in my day. I've had some by Romeo Anderson, and you know they've been incredible. This is the nicest strap I have ever owned, by some way. 2 front pieces of leather sewn together, just like the original belt. Let me flip it over here. The color is amazing. They've modeled their stamp after the original belt. Get that focused. There we go. They also have a relationship with the children of Victor Ortiz, the man who crafted the original belt. And they work with them, like, you know, making this belt. You know, they consult with them and whatnot. So yeah, made by Robert Ortiz and Sons exclusively for C4 Authentic Belts. It's got the date and the serial number here. But this strap is just incredible. It's so nice. The screws, even down to like the type of screws, the configuration, and the number, everything is just absolutely accurate to the original. When I first looked at it, I thought that this configuration and like the number of screws was wrong. But then I looked in the belt and I was like, well, I'll be damned. They nailed it. It looks exactly like the original belt. It's so nice. Here, let me flip this back over. Now, is it perfect? Of course not. This is way too intricate of a belt for it to ever be perfect. There are a couple of letters in the World Heavyweight Wrestling Champion banners that the font or the thickness of the letters or whatever is ever so slightly off. The floral pattern has been cut very straight along the edges of the letters. When in the original it was still, you know, had that kind of floral pattern edge to it. It was kind of bumpy, for lack of a better way to put it. So is it absolutely 100% perfect? No. But as far as just looking like the original belt and the quality and craftsmanship, this is the nicest big gold belt I have ever seen. You know, if you've been following me for a while, you know how happy I have always been with all of my belts, really. But, you know, my Classic Shields belt in particular. And I was so happy with them. But I honestly can say I don't think I even understood what a nice belt was before I owned this belt. My experience with them was fantastic. Communication, turnaround time, and just being nice, just a nice guy, you know, just everything about the experience was perfect. I will never be able to recommend C4 enough. This is the finest big gold belt that I know of.